As soon as the Digimon Liberator web novel started and we were introduced to Rutaro, I immediately fell in love with this absolute himbo of a person, especially because he wore a Vital Bracelet. It's a bit of a shame that at this point the Vital Bracelet has been discontinued by Bandai and we're not seeing any new Vital Bracelet dim cards being released, so that feels like a missed opportunity. But in any case, it is nice to see a character have a Digimon Vital Bracelet. In a similar way, in Digimon Seekers, we've seen the Digimon Accelerator being used as a Digimon dock. In any case, I wanted to build a Dinomon deck basically the moment it got debuted in the web novel, and I also just love the fact that we're getting mega forms for older Digimon such as Tyrannomon. While I'm not a huge fan of Agumon in general, this deck has made me like Agumon a little bit more. However, a lot of people were running red base Dinomon, which is totally fair, and there are lots of options for that. But I wanted to be a little bit different, as in I wanted an excuse to put Palmon in another deck, so I decided to give Green Base Dinomon a shot, and I'm actually fairly surprised about how well it works, especially with BT14 Palmon, which at this point I have 5, I think, green decks, and all of them run the BT14 Palmon. So that's something I guess I'm just going to keep on doing. But in any case, let's look at this deck list that I have. So first of all, I do have all of the EX8 Agumon and Tyrannomon and Dandenong stuff, so that's pretty standard. So we do have the Agumon from EX8, which is the one with Retaliate. I really like this one, especially because if it's underneath one of my, either my level 5 with Fortitude or my level 6 with Fortitude, it doesn't matter too much. I get to kill something, that's cool, and I get to come back and then potentially blow something up, but more on that later. So I have 4 of those. That's pretty standard. I do have 2 of the Palmon. Honestly, sometimes I'm just a little bit like, do I want to run 4 of it? But I feel like she's pretty good as a 2 of in most green decks. I have her as a 2 of, in fact, in all of my green decks, as I mentioned. But in general, what she does is that when it's the start of the main phase, one of the opponent's Digimon gets all turns. When this Digimon becomes suspended, lose 2 memory. The wording here is really important because it says lose 2 memory rather than you gain 2 memory. And the reason for that being important is that it means that cards that say your opponent cannot gain memory except for from tamer effects means that they're not affected by that. So any of those memory floodgates don't actually, like, it's not affected by that at all, because the specific wording is that the opponent loses 2 memory rather than you gain 2 memory. So that's pretty cool, especially because a lot of the cards in this deck, when digivolving or when doing something, suspends a Digimon. So a lot of the time when you're using Rutaru's ability and you're just kind of continuously evolving while you're attacking, you can usually give your opponent entirely too much memory, probably more memory than you'd like. So that just gives you the opportunity to either take back your turn or leave your opponent on less memory. So it works well for that. Again, it's pretty good as a 2 of. I probably don't think I really want it to be a 4 of for most of the reasons that it doesn't get found by my Agumon searcher, and a lot of the time I'm not evolving onto it. I'm just kind of keeping it there for that start of main phase effect. Also because that effect does last until the end of the opponent's turn. So even if you don't suspend in your turn, they can still be punished if they want to attack you. So there is also that. Then of course we have the EX8 Agumon. This is Rutaru's Agumon. We know this because this is the one with the Liberator trait. And first of all, adore the art. Second of all, this is our searcher, so reveal the top 3 cards. You get a Tyrannomon or a Reptile Dinosaur and a Rutaru, and you can add those to your hand. So pretty standard for a lot of the Liberator searches. So it just finds a bunch of your stuff, and for the most part, it finds a lot of the things in the deck because everything except for like Medieval Gallant and Palmon are going to be valid targets for that, except for obviously the options. Next, we have the BT11 Tyrannomon. A lot of people prefer to play the BT14 Tyrannomon. I prefer the BT11 one because you'll probably notice that I don't have that many level 3s. I usually go for 12, but for this I went 10 and 11 for my level 3s and level 4s respectively. And the reason for that is sometimes I can just hard play this on my first turn if it's either giving my opponent 5 memory, which isn't ideal, but it does mean I get to play a tamer out. So I get a level 4 and I get a tamer, which it isn't honestly too bad. If it's turn 2 and I have a little bit of memory, that's a little bit better. Maybe my opponent's put me to like 3 memory for my first turn if they went first, and then I can effectively slam that down, get a tamer. So at least I have a level 4 and a tamer. I might just have a level 3 in raising, which is fine. I get the draw from that, but it's honestly not that bad, and it gives me a little bit of a head start to get a level 4 out there so quickly, especially because I might also have the X-Antibody Tyrannomon in hand as well, and then I can kind of do my thing and build up to Dinomon fairly quickly. And also I will have a Rutaru there for free rather than playing it for a 3 cost itself. So you're effectively getting a level 4 for 2 and a tamer for its normal cost. That's not that bad. And also it's on play as well as when digivolving, so the when digivolving also is fine because you're evolving for 3 and you're getting a tamer for free effectively. So it is a really good card. It's a 3 of. I originally had it as a 2 of, but realized I really wanted to see it more often, so it's a 3 of. Next, we have the Tyrannomon, that's the EX8 Tyrannomon, and this is Rutaru's Tyrannomon. The security effect is pretty good. You get to play it without playing the cost, so that's pretty cool. It's just a nice body. And then start of main phase and when digivolving, it gets plus 3000 DP into the end of the opponent's turn. This is great, especially when you're building it up. You can just get a really big body turn 2. I think that the best stack that I've ever had, and this is on most times that I get this out, is Tyrannomon evolves into X-Antibody, Tyrannomon evolves into Master Tyrannomon, evolves into Dinomon on turn 2. I'm swinging for 3 checks at 20,000, which is pretty cool. In fact, every time I do that, the opponent goes, "Oh, are you sure?" Like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, because Dinomon has security attack +1. Master Tyrannomon's inheritable is that it gets the security attack +1. In addition to that, when digivolving or start of main phase, it has that plus 3000, as well as all the other inheritables. So it's swinging for 20,000 on turn 2 for 3 checks. Pretty good. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of that. So that's pretty cool, and also, again, it's start of main phase as well, so even if it came out at the end of the last turn because it was in your security, you get a bigger body, which you can then evolve up from, so that's pretty cool. Next up, we have the Promo Tyrannomon X Antibody. It's definitely a 4 of. I was lucky enough to pull all my box toppers were this, so I was kind of happy with that. I'm like, hell yeah, I don't have to go chasing for promos. Love that. And I don't really use raid that much. I just kind of like keep on evolving up from it. But I guess that is something it also has. So it does have raid, so you can attack into one of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon with the highest DP, which, yeah, it's fine. I don't use it that much. I usually just do the build up to Dinomon to do those security checks. Of course, it doesn't have piercing, unfortunately, if it's Dinomon, which is a shame. So I'm most of the time just going to be building up and attacking. But you can attack into something if you really want a body gone. But most of the time, I'm going to be deleting most of the field with a lot of the when digivolving effects anyway. So that doesn't matter too much to me. So when attacking, if a card with Tyrannomon in its name or X-Antibody is in the Digimon's Digivolution cards, this Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card with Tyrannomon in the name or dinosaur trait in hand for the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. So this is kind of like the first kind of thing. Oh yeah, I just realized the Inheritable does have piercing, so you can raid into something, but a lot of the time I feel like whenever I've done that, it does have, like, the attack does just fizzle. So again, most of the time I am just attacking straight into security rather than declaring attacks into an opponent's Digimon, because I keep on blowing up the field anyway. So, yep, it reduces the cost reduced by 1, so then I would go into one of my level 5s, and then if I have Rutaro, I then get to do the same thing, reduce the evolution cost by 1 to evolve into my level 6. So it's definitely a 4 of. It needs to be a 4 of, because honestly, I don't feel, even as a 4 of, I don't feel like I see it enough. Sometimes I'm just like hoping I have like 2 Rutaros out there so I can activate them, go to the level 5 and then go to the level 6, but it is really good to have there. Again, does have piercing. Don't feel like I use it that much because, again, I feel like I'm blowing up the field, especially if it is just turn 2 because of Dynamon's when digivolving effect. Next we have Tyrannomon. This one I guess is fine. I run X antibody in this, so that works with Tyrannomon, or Tyrannomon, which I keep on missaying because it feels like it should be Tyrannomon, but whatever. So it has collision, so I don't feel like I use it that much, but it means that when this Digimon attacks, all of your opponent's Digimon gain blocker and must block if possible. If I'm kind of like evolving up to level 6 in one go, I don't really use it that much. And then it has the effect, and also it's the same inheritable, of when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you may unsuspend this Digimon, so you can kind of like swing and attack again. And a lot of the time you are suspending a lot of your opponent's Digimon. And yeah, it's a 2 of. I'm kind of torn, like whether I want to go back to 4 of the metal and 4 of the master and not have that. I'm still kind of a little bit unsure about it, but it is good if the situation calls for it, especially because of that inheritable, but I feel like I prefer the other level 5s a little bit more. Next we have Metal Tyrannomon, which feels like it's just a different type of Rapidmon from the starter deck. So on play and when digivolving, which, yes, when I've bricked really hard, I have just hard played this if I really want to de-digivolve something. And a lot of the time it's been when I'm bricking. It's kind of late-ish game, so I don't really have that much to do because a lot of my guys have maybe died. I haven't been able to just rush my opponent out super hard. So I'm kind of just hard playing this, and then I'll be hopefully suspending it so I can de-digivolve maybe an ace. And then I get the overflow. So the hard playing for 7 isn't completely a terrible idea. And I've done that a few times and it has won me games, so that's pretty cool. But in general, so if it's suspended, which a lot of the time it is because it's when you're attacking, your Digimon is suspended. So you may suspend one Digimon, so you suspend an opponent's Digimon, and then you get to de-digivolve 1, and then if this Digimon isn't returned to hand or this Digimon can't be returned to hand or deck or de-digivolved. So it's kind of just like Rapidmon, who if you have a tamer, it can't be returned to hand or deck. So it has that sort of protection to the end of your opponent's turn. So it also has the same inheritable as Rapidmon of when this Digimon deletes your opponent's Digimon in battle, trash their top security card. So really big fan of that. It is really nice. And there's only 3 of that because, again, the Tyra. Next we have the Master Tyrannomon, also a 3 of, and this is the EX8 one, so this is Rutaro's. And it has Fortitude, so if this Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted, play this card without paying the cost. So it has the on play and when digivolving of suspending a Digimon. Then if this Digimon is suspended, again, if you're already attacking and that's how you evolved into it, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8,000 DP or less. So this is when the kind of like me clearing out the board state comes into play. Dandenong has a similar effect of deleting a Digimon, so that's why I don't tend to attack into Digimon, because if they've got enough Digimon that I can delete, it's not a big thing for me to attack into Digimon, even though it does have piercing because of either this or this. It's not really something that I'm doing that much. Piercing, I don't use that much in this deck. Again, if I do have piercing, that's when the Metal Tyrannomon's inheritable comes into play pretty well, but again, it's not a super big deal. So anyway, so it has Fortitude, so that means when it comes back, the on play is activated again, so I get to delete an 8000 DP or less, which is cool. And again, if I have the Agumon inheritable with Retaliation, that is also quite useful as well, because I get to kill an opponent's Digimon, and then I get to Fortitude back either, if it's Dynamon on top or Master Tyrannomon, I can potentially delete something else and activate Fortitude again. So that's pretty neat. And then, of course, it has the inheritable Security Attack +1, which is great. Next, we have what is, I guess, a green or red staple at this point, which is Medieval Gallantmon. It's only a 2-of. I feel like in most decks that aren't the Zafaga deck, it should be a 2-of. In Zafaga, I used to run it as 4, and now it's 3 with Zafaga Ace. I'll do an updated deck profile on that at some point if that's what people want. So, Medieval Gallantmon, I hate it in any deck that's not green, by the way. If, purple decks, you do not get to have Medieval Gallantmon. I'm sorry, you have enough. You have Death X. Leave my son alone. So, in any case, this Digimon, you can effectively play it for 7 if you suspend 2 Digimon in the field. Any 2 can be yours, can be your opponent's. Again, if you have Palmon out, that means that effectively it's a 5 cost if you suspend something and it has the Palmon effect of when it becomes suspended, the opponent loses 2 memory, so you can effectively play for 5. That's pretty cool. And so yeah, that's what a lot of people are kind of hard playing it, and not, if they have it in a deck, they Mother D Reaper or any purple deck, disgusting, because they can just hard slam it and hate that. But just leave my boy alone. Anyway, so it has Alliance, so when this Digimon attacks, if you suspend another one of your Digimon, add suspended Digimon DP, and it gains the Security Attack +1. You also have Vortex, which means that after the end of your turn, you may attack an opponent's Digimon, and it basically can be done the turn it was played, so you can just play it, hard slam it, and attack something that is suspended, and delete it, basically. So that is pretty cool. Then we have the when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 Digimon, then you may delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8000 DP or lower, but for every suspended Digimon, you add 3000 to that DP total. So if you've just hard slammed it, that means that, I'll read the rest of the card. All turns when Digimon are played, you may activate one of the Digimons when Digivolving effect. So that means that you have hard played it, you've suspended 2 Digimon, so you can delete something with 14,000 DP or less just as soon as you play it. So you're basically paying 7 to delete what did I say? Was it 16? That's how maths works, right? No, 14. 14,000 DP or less Digimon. That's pretty cool. Do like that. And also you can vortex into another one of the Digimon. So if there are 2 threats on board and it's below that DP, you can delete one, and then you can vortex into the other one if it's less than 11,000. Unless you just want to kill Medieval Gallantmon, I guess. I don't know. So that is something that you can do. Cool. And that's why a lot of decks run it. Some people are saying that they want it to be hit. I don't think it's good enough to be hit. I feel like it is good, but it's getting deleted. Typically, if I'm hard slamming it, I know it's not going to be around for my next turn. I better get that the worth of the 7 costs that I just played for it, because it is not staying around. It is such a huge target. It's not as good as people think it is. It's definitely not a completely broken card. Maybe it should be limited to not be in purple decks, because that's disgusting, or Mother Shoto, that is also disgusting. Because again, if you have Shoto in the deck, you can, because it has a Vortex Warrior, you can make it unsuspend, and yay, Piercing Blocker unsuspend. So I can understand why people would want it out of other decks, but in terms of the decks it was made for, like Safagamon, I guess any green deck, it's fine. Again, I think it's a 2-of in any green deck. Take it out of anything that's not a green deck, though, please. So yeah, now we have the actual main card of the deck, which is Dinomon. So this is the EX8 Dinomon. There's only the one Dinomon at the moment, but I guess for future proofing, this is the EX8 one. And it is Rutaro's. This is obviously one of the main characters in the Digimon web novel, or, Lording characters, I guess. And again, it has security attack +1 and fortitude, and it's on play and when digivolving. So again, when fortitude brings it back, you can do the on play. But so this is, you may suspend one Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's suspended Digimon with the lowest DP. Pretty cool. Again, if I'm evolving all the way to Dinomon, I'm effectively trying to wipe the opponent's field, especially if this is a turn 2 Dinomon. There's not going to be much on the field. Again, that's why, for the most part, I'm not going to be raiding into a Digimon, because I'm probably going to be deleting their field anyway, especially, if it's turn 2. Because otherwise, if I delete it, my attack fizzles, and then it doesn't matter if I've got piercing or whatever. So, pretty good, especially because this is something that my friend Sean, who was the Oceania winner, he's the one I did a deck profile on for his Gallantmon deck. So good luck to him. He's going to Worlds in, as of recording, a few days. So good luck to him. Hope he does well. But he actually made me realize that if I have X antibody and I put it underneath my Dinomon or Master Tyrannomon without any Digivolution cards, that means that Fortitude will activate again. So that's kind of why it's a 2-of in the deck. Also, it has the, when attacking, this Digimon can Digivolve into Digimon with the X antibody trait by paying its Digivolution cost. So it's a nice way to get to Mama Tyrannomon if I don't have a Tyrannomon X antibody on my Tyrannomon. So it does work for that, but I feel like most of the time if I have it in hand, it's to just have Dinomon's Fortitude activate again, even if it's already just died, come back, I will slot it under there. So that's pretty handy. Next we have our options. So 3 agility training is kind of a staple. Reveal top 2 cards, add 1 green card from among them into your hand, the other to the bottom of the deck. And then the delay effect is reduces the evolution cost by 2. It's just another way to evolve up fast, especially if I don't have something that helps me get to level 5, or if I'm missing, an extra Rutaro or what have you. So that's pretty nice. It's also nice to have searches. In a similar way, green memory boost is there too. I get to reveal the top 4 cards from my deck, add 1 Digimon card that's green from among them into hand, bot deck the rest, and the delay effect is gain 2 memory. Pretty standard. Then there's a green scramble. I still kind of forget about using this. Reduces evolution cost by 3, so you're effectively evolving for 2 instead of 3. And the delay effect, if your opponent has a Digimon, you can return 1 green Digimon card from your trash to the top of the deck. Then if you don't have a Digimon, you may place 1 green Digimon with 2000 DP or less without paying the cost. And the security effect is you get to play a Digimon card 2000 DP or less from trash without paying the cost, then add this card to hand. Sometimes I just leave Green Scramble out there on the field because I just forget when I can use it. Oh, well, I should have used it. Because again, it is start of your turn. So this is the first thing that you do basically in your turn before the breeding phase, before draw, you have to activate Green Scramble. I just forget it's there, but it is good to evolve for cheap, especially because if I'm missing Dinomon, but I still want to do some damage and I don't want to hard play a Medieval, I can just evolve to Medieval Gallantmon for a cost of 2 instead of 3, because the evolution cost is 3. So thumbs up, Green Scramble, pretty good. All the scrambles should be like a staple in a lot of the decks, same as the training, same as the Mem Boost. It's good as a 2-of. Next, we already kind of talked about X Antibody. It is good. Security effect, you get to gain 1 memory, add it to hand. Awesome. And it's a 0 cost, and again, means I can activate Fortitude. Now we have our Tamers. I have Tiger. Again, it's a way of reducing the evolution cost by 1, and it gives Tyrannomon Piercing. That one, again, I don't use Piercing too much in this deck, but it is just kind of there. I guess I'm not a huge fan of it, but again, reduces the evolution cost, that is handy. And then we have Rutaro, which I have spoken about a little bit. It's the usual, if your opponent has a Digimon, missed a word there, gain 1 memory, and then when one of your Digimon with Tyrannomon in its name attacks, by suspending this Tamer, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Tyrannomon in its name, or the dinosaur trait in the hand, with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. Again, so you can activate the Tyrannomon X antibodies when attacking, or the X antibodies when attacking, and then activate that after you evolve, to evolve again. Of course, if you have multiple, you can just do it just all with Rutaro. They're all the same effect of evolve for the reduced cost of 1, so same as the X antibody. Again, if you're doing that, you're giving your opponent potentially a lot of memory still, even though it's reducing it by 1. So it is handy to have the Palmon out there with that effect active, because a lot of these are suspending your opponent's Digimon when they Digivolve. So you can potentially make it cheaper when you have Palmon there, and that's one of the reasons she's there. Next we have the eggs. Now I do have 5 eggs, but honestly I'm considering taking out that one single EX8 red Koromon. Again, all of my Digimon except for Palmon can evolve from it, so it's usually just a case of I have Palmon in my hand, I hatch, and it's the red Koromon, and I'm like, oh dear. The inherited trait is pretty cool. You get to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less, but otherwise, I think I'm honestly taking it out. My main egg, of course, is the green Koromon, because there's only one green Koromon. It's not incredibly amazing, but it is useful, and that's because the inherited effect is when attacking, reveal the top card of your deck and place it at the top or the bottom. Now, why this is good is because when I'm attacking, and let's say I don't have Dynamon in my hand, but I have my X antibody and I have the level 5, so I can evolve into the level 5, but I don't have Dynamon in my hand. So I'll say, okay, I'm declaring attacks. When attacking, I'm going to reveal the top card. Now, if I'm, this is like a little bit of a gamble. It doesn't always work out, but it can be pretty good. I can see the top card that I'm about to draw from the evolution. So I reveal it, and if it's Dynamon, yes. If it's not Dynamon, I put it to the bottom and risk the next card being a Dynamon. And then I can draw it, and off the evolution, which I'm just, saying, okay, I've got X antibody, I'm evolving to Master Tyrannomon now, for example. And then I'll be like, okay, draw for Digi, and then hopefully it's Dynamon. So that's why it's kind of not terrible. Again, it's not fantastically good. I would like a better green Koromon, but it's kind of all that I have. And again, I'm not going to just hard play Palmon. I never hard play Palmon. I always have her in raising because I promote and then start of main phase effect. If I'm just hard playing her, I don't get the start of main phase effect until the next turn, and a lot of the time when she's on the field, she is a target for deletion, and that's basically every time. Most of the time she's only there for like one turn because the opponent really doesn't like that start of main phase with understandable reasons, because they get punished and lose 2 memory just by suspending, or I can force them to suspend. So that's kind of what I've got. I really like this deck. In fact, I've even won my first locals with this deck. If you check out this deck profile, I've made a lot of notes about all the changes that I've made. So thumbs up to that. But yeah, I did win my locals at Aussie Collectibles because Sean, again, my good buddy with the Gallantmon deck, because he went to time and drew with one of his games, technically he came second, so technically speaking, I have beaten the Oceania champion, so yay, technicalities. But he was really proud of me for winning my first locals, because he wins locals every locals we go to, and we go to like 3 a week because we're insane. So technically, I have beaten Sean at Aussie Collectibles, and big shout out to Aussie Collectibles as well. I love them very much. They're a great store. And so are all the places that I frequent at locals, so Games Portal is fantastic. Love them so much. Love the staff, love the people. Same with Grand J, love the staff, love the people. Aussie, love the staff, love the people. So those are my locals. But so I finally won a locals with this deck, and a lot of the time if I'm playing this deck, I'm at least top 8ing. Unless I brick. I have also bricked pretty badly with this deck, and it's always for level 5s. In all of my decks, I'm bricking for level 5s. I don't know why. I feel like 8 is fine. Apparently not. Apparently, despite all my searches, I can brick really badly. Before I went to 11 level 4s, I was bricking for level 4s. Despite the fact I only have 10 level 3s, I can still have a full hand of level 3s. I don't know why I always brick for level 4s until I went to 11. In any case, that's the deck that I have. I can't imagine changing this up at all that much. I guess Tiger is probably my least favourite one. I'm kind of disappointed if I draw a Tiger and not a Rutaro. But again, it's not bad. It's nice to reduce the evolution cost. That's cool. But I guess I would prefer a second version of Rutaro that's, I don't know, doing something else. but it is nice to have another tamer that's a 3 cost or less, because it means I can play it with this Tyrannomon's effect. Again, there are other options and other people are doing different things. There's also the new Rusty, there's also the Rusty Ace, but I just don't have the space for it, especially because I'm running Medieval Gallant. But that's the deck. Thumbs up. Cool. Let me know what your thoughts are on this deck. I kind of want to do more of these deck profiles. I need to learn how to like make them shorter than 30 minutes because I do have a habit of rambling. But I just want to talk about all the reasons why I have the cards that I have in this deck. In any case, let me know your thoughts, comments, questions in the comments section below. Like this video for, yes, I know it's been a while. It's been far too hot to record videos. So I've kind of like been hiding like with the aircon downstairs and not doing videos, but I promise I'll start getting back into it more often than I had previously. I do have to catch up with the Digimon Liberator web novel reading, so I'll probably do that as well. But I also do want to talk about a few other deck profiles because I have built too many decks. I really want to talk about my very, very dumb Argomon Alliance deck, which I give my decks bad names. Everybody said Argomon was a bad deck. They were right. So I do want to talk about that at some point. Do want to talk about my Zephargomon updates. Do want to talk about Examon deck. So that there are lots of decks that I want to talk about. So I guess I'll do more deck profiles at some point in the future after I'm done being up to date with the Digimon Liberator web novel. But yes, so like, comment, subscribe, etc, etc. And of course, I'll see you next video. Bye!